How's it going, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the James Loud Podcast. And today our special guest for the second time is David Downs. How are you doing, David?
I'm wonderful, James. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me. Thank you to the audience for having me back.
Absolutely, man. It's been 6 months since we had you, maybe a little longer than 6 months, and you keep doing these amazing events. And I wanted to get you on here before your next amazing event. I wasn't able to, it was too soon to get you on here before Weed Week, but Hash Week is coming up.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to highlight it on my show. I think you're hooking me up with a booth there, so it's going to be a lot of fun.
Hell yeah. SF Hash Week, July 8th through 14th, a whole week of 710 in San Francisco. It's actually the second year we're doing this. It's just like Beer Week or Restaurant Week, or now the Weed Week we did,
right?
Where it's 7 hash makers releasing 7 of their best new products at 7 lounges over 7 nights. And I think people got the message, and we're going to have a lot of fun.
The concept is great, and it's like very San Francisco, with Beer Week going on for as long as it has, and now you've evolved Beer Week into Weed Week and Hash Week. It's just a natural evolution. It feels very organic to everybody, not just to me, but I feel like all the people, everybody's looking forward to it. Everyone's talking about it, and then we get to do Terpnomy in the winter, and that was one of my favorite events last year. To be 100% honest, the reason it was my favorite event wasn't because the amount of people there; it was because of the quality.
Yeah.
Like literally the amount of breeders that were there, the amount of passionate people that were bringing different flower from all over, different types of flower. A lot of guys coming from the hills that had these wild sativas and these wild hazes. And you got guys from Europe that were like, how are these Americans coming with this haze, like bringing the haze and bringing these sativas as hard as they were and doing a good job with these long flowering varieties. That was what impressed me the most, but it was just a great event overall.
Thank you.
Good vibes. I mean, I'm honestly looking forward to that as much as Mary Jane.
Thank you. Thank you. For those of people who didn't know, we did Terpnomy, a seed show in San Francisco in a warehouse, like a seed rave, December 6th and 7th last year. Yeah. It hit. I was inspired by the Emerald Cup and the old seed barns. So I'm so stoked that you saw cool new things there. We'll definitely be back this year. And I think those 3 are what I want to hold down for the city, and definitely focus on flowers in April, focus on extracts in July, a focus on genetics in December. Nice. I was inspired by going to Cannabis, going to see music in Austin for South by Southwest. Right. I knew we had all the pieces in the San Francisco Bay Area, California, to hold our own on the global stage. And I want to, keep that beacon burning bright for the next generation.
Well, the vibe was good, and the attendance was good, and the space was perfect for what it was. And it's not always that way, especially the first year when you're it's a lot of figuring stuff out as you go along, because there's a lot of hurdles involved, usually when throwing new events. But that space, the Midway is great. It's perfect for that event.
This is a dog patch. It's around the corner from the Hells Angels headquarters.
Yeah.
I had this vision in my head of like, man, I know we can get a warehouse on the east side of San Francisco.
Sure.
And, do a seed thing in there. And someone was like, Terpnomy, why that name? It sounds like a rave. I'm like, yeah, fine. It's a rave. It's a seed rave. And we just leaned into the look and the feel. But we did hit on something, which is people want intimacy. They want access. People were saying, I met my favorite breeder who's like a rock star, just like these hash makers are rock stars. I got one-on-one time with them.
There was 24 of them there. There were more than that. There was 30. There was over 30 of important people in the industry from all over. We got Ariane coming down from Greenhouse Seeds. Seeing him there, we were at the booth. We had a booth together. That was amazing. The whole thing was well orchestrated. The curation was great. And to be able to have, it's like I keep talking it up, but it was just great to be able to have access to that much variety of seed as well. And that's a lot of guys buy their seeds in the winter. That's why you did the event. It makes perfect sense, because we used to go to Emerald Cup and there was guys coming in with $20,000 to buy seeds from all these guys.
Yes, sir.
Right. And now, some of us were much younger when this first started happening. I'm looking around and like, we're getting older, but the thing is still happening, right? The energy is alive, and it just has to continue, and it has to evolve. Just like Beer Week has evolved into Weed Week, and Hash Week.
Yeah.
And I think
we had Purple Caper pull up, one of the old school growers from out here, breeders from out here, who works with Ed. We saw Whitethorn Rose Crosses come out. Ridgeline released their Lance for the first time as seed.
Right.
I've always encouraged them, like, if you want to live forever, you got to get your stuff out there. You can't hold on to it.
Yeah, Humble Seeds was there. They
Purple
had,
City Genetics. Capulator showed up.
In uniform.
And with the beard.
Dude, in classic Capulator style, he was there. It was great. Jesse from BioVortex.
In the flesh. Mean Gene from Mean Gene.
Mean Gene was there. I mean,
it was like pinch me for 2 days.
It was a whole bunch of who's who. As far as like people I respect as breeders, they have done a lot of work.
Same.
It's like seeing Mean Gene and Jesse from BioVortex there. That was great. It's like, but there were so many people. Humboldt Seeds, it's like they were there.
Yeah, they
it's
always
always
show up.
Great seeing those guys. They show up at a lot of places.
Yeah. People didn't want to leave. We had to close the gates at 5 on Sunday, and it just kept going in the parking lot. And I think the through line between why it's working with Spacewalk, aka Weed Week, SF Hash Week, and Turbnami is I'm leveraging 15 years of reporting about cannabis, and I'm going in descending order down my favorite breeders, my favorite flower growers, or my favorite extractors. Mm-hmm. And we're keeping the focus laser tight on the flower or the extract or the genetics.
Right.
And when you have that at the center, building out art, music, food, culture, experiences is way easier than if you're missing that center.
Right. You can curate it around whatever that center is. Right.
Yeah.
I love that. Yep.
That's like in a vacuum, that's what we can push off from.
Yeah.
So for Hash Week, it's like a drop from Kalia, a drop from 710 Labs, a drop from Nasha, Earl Hill, Trilogy 710, Oakland Extracts, Fire King. I'm really proud of what we're catalyzing in the Bay, because I know we have all these pieces, and you hear a lot of stories from the Bay that don't fully reflect how much fun we're having, how much innovation we're doing, how great things are. And so I took it upon myself to make sure that that message is getting out there again.
Right. Well, and these things are so important. We got to keep these events alive, and I think also celebrate the artists behind hash, behind flower, behind seeds. It's like behind these, you got to pull the curtain back, show the people, and highlight the amazing things that they're doing. Especially with hash, I feel like hash is very innovational in so many regards. There's so many different styles of hash that are like the Piatella. We touched on that. Piatella is like a newer thing. I've talked about it on my podcast before with the no heat. Frenchie Cannoli had the temple balls, right?
Yeah,
it was rolled with the heat with the wine bottle.
Yeah,
a shout out to Press Club for the roller. So those guys are great. I love the Press Club. Got to get those guys on the podcast.
Yeah.
But then now the new Piatella, which was from Uncle's Farm. I learned a lot more about it since it's been on my show, and we've been experimenting with it. And I've been able to do a lot of the R&D behind the stuff that we're producing, which is great. I get to get these samples that are just phenomenal, where it's like 2-month aged, and it's aged under pressure, no heat.
Yes.
And, I love rosin too, don't get me wrong, but for Hashholes, I think Piatella is superior. It's also
inside?
a cultivar inside. Yeah,
man, that is luxurious, sir.
It is. Yeah, and you get the nice burn. I'm a big hash hole guy now. I wasn't for a long time, and now I'm totally sold on it. But the problem is I can smoke way more hash that way than doing dabs. Right, a little dab. I do little dabs here and there. That's one thing, but I can go put a 0.5 gram in a friggin' joint that's 2 grams, and I can smoke with my friends. We can smoke 10 of those. Right, and so you look at the amount of material that you're using. There's a lot there.
I heard that the hash hole phenomenon, and maybe you can fact check this, was partly like a celebrational move. Like when the packs got to Barcelona, they had flower and hash in the pack, and they would roll up something special to honor the fact that it had made it, and when they had a lot of it.
Yeah.
And that's might be where it partially came from.
I don't know. I don't know the exact origin, but
I learned
we need to
roll a hash hole. I don't know who taught you.
Who taught me how to roll a hash hole was Hush Hawaii. Kind of got me I kind of had an idea how to do it, but the guy broke it down really good. And then we had Marcos from CGO.
Okay.
So what I do is I go around and I refine stuff by learning how to do stuff from the best of the people in the industry. So with rolling, there's a bunch of guys. Bruno rolls. I've got some tips from Bruno.
Okay.
CGO, I've got some tips from him. Chris, professional joint roller on Instagram. He was the original guy who kind of helped me elevate my old school. I was using glass tips and paper, crutches.
Yeah.
And then evolving that into the organic tips, right? I like the organic tips right now.
Are they like a hemp plastic or?
No,
okay.
It's not a hemp plastic.
It's bamboo?
It's bamboo.
Okay, great.
And I enjoy organic tips is what I'm on right now. I don't know.
Shout out Organic Tips.
Big shout out Organic Tips. I really like the product. I like the 11s. I like the 12s for hash holes. The 12 millimeter, I think, is the perfect gauge, right? And then it's like
big.
It is, but we smoke, 2 to 3.5 gram joints. So that goes in there, and it's like
savage.
I like, I feel like shout out to Proper Doinks, but they've done a lot for the community in taking what people did for cigars. They've applied that cigar knowledge and applied that to smoking joints, smoking hash holes, smoking doinks.
Like
right? 3.5 gram.
Okay.
It's a 3.5 gram.
And the millimeter is like 14 millimeter or 12?
No, I think those guys go 12. Yeah, I think it's a 12.
It's a cannon of weed.
It is, but like if we're talking about flavor, there's so many little nuances. You know, it's like Adam and Paul, big shout out. Like those guys are educating people, and I love the education. I love the brackets that they're doing. So they're competing guys against each other.
Yeah.
Where they're doing these brackets where people put money up, they get in categories, and you know, like they have the candy category or whatever. They have the Z. Then now they're doing the gas. They're doing all these different categories in these bracket competitions where people put up money and they go against each other.
I'm a huge fan.
And then they try to educate people using social media. And I think it's a great way to do it. And it's got me smoking more hash holes, me smoking more big joints.
Do they roll hash holes too, or just the big flower joints?
They do the flower.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. They pretty much do the flower. But they got me smoking hash holes.
You know who taught me was Rezwan Khan from DNA Genetics.
Oh, wow.
Rez.
Yeah.
And we were in Cannabis 2 years ago. I missed this last year in the show. And he was like in the DNA booth. And I was like, I need to learn this. And he just rolled one in front of me and like taught me how to like make the worm in my hand, you know?
Yeah.
And I videotaped it. And I was off to the races after there. Like obviously like evolutionarily, you have to get better at it.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of, I like to do them like on special occasions, like if I'm camping or whatever, and I'm getting several people blazed. The flavors bar none. But I am more of a thinner hash hole guy. I like a 10 millimeter.
Oh, wow.
And
do you double grind your flower? I mean, there's so many tricks to it, right? Like I still double grind my flower with the number 1 on the flour mill. That's my thing.
Yeah.
Proper doinks got me doing like I was on a panel with Adam and we were talking about the double grind. And so I was like, well, does it really make a difference? I'm using the single grind. Sure. It was more fluffy, I thought, with the single, but then you do the double grind and you're getting more white ash. It's burning more evenly.
Yeah.
So
I challenge myself to roll a thinner hash hole that still holes.
Right.
So I'm getting a 10 millimeter that's still a hash hole. It's almost like
you
a
put
cigarillo.
A big slug, like a short slug, a long slug. How do you do your slugs in there? We call them slugs.
Yeah, like or a worm or whatever.
Yeah.
I do a medium to smaller sized one near the front to get the hole go in at the front.
Yep.
And usually that hash is moving back through the flower for the rest of the J.
So
they're just a little more
do you see the
functional.
jacuzzi? You get the jacuzzi, like the little liquid where you see the yellow if it's rosin? That's the magic.
What's that jargon?
The terminology, the jacuzzi. Yeah. So like with the hash holes, if you do them right and you put a decent sized slug there and you light it up and then you burn it, it turns to liquid because it's rosin, right? So
yeah.
If you hold them
so
up,
the little bubbling going right at the end. Yes.
Yeah.
Now I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
and you see those in all the great photos. The little bubbling jacuzzi at the end of it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's fun. I like the fun side of this stuff. And it's like, we still keep evolving with this stuff. And, I like more, I do slugs instead of worms. I'm more of getting it concentrated, thicker,
shorter.
Yeah. Thicker.
Okay. Versus the thinner.
Thinner and long. I think the stout ones that they have flavor right away.
Yeah. With like 20 people to help you. I'm game,
For sure. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how do your hash holes look?
They look great. I'm a veteran roller.
Yeah.
I'm usually more of a Dutch cone roller with flour.
Sure.
Just like how I learned at UC Santa Barbara. Pretty easy. It's funny hearing the proper doings talk about cellulite or any type of like crinkle or crease in theirs.
Dimples. You don't want dimples. Yeah, dimples are bad.
Let alone like a fucking canoe or something. But no, I can roll a nice straight barrel cannon when the time arises. And to me, a lot of it is the setup on the paper, like how much flour is on there, the shape of the flower on the paper.
Yeah.
I've seen people even use little trays and
I have
templates and forms.
Yeah, so they have the molds, right? The hash hole molds. They make it easier to roll hash holes. I wouldn't say it's easy, but it's easier. I have some of the different ones from Third Dimension.
Okay.
We got some of those. He makes them for like CGO. That's how I got turned on to them. And yeah, they have, there's all kinds of little tricks you learn and it's like, wow, okay, that helps. And it's like also weighing out your flour. So you put the same amount in everyone. So you get used to rolling a 2 gram or a 3.5 gram. And so it's not 3.2, it's 3.5, but not all flour stacks up the same. Not all flour burns the same. Not all flour grinds the same.
Now, aren't some people anti-mold? They're like, you should just know how to do this.
I don't listen. I'm not anti anything like that. It's like whatever works for you. I like the molds for certain applications. Like if you're trying to do them really fast and lots of them,
Yeah, there you go. You got to mold them out.
Yeah, and they got, so we'll show the mold on the screen, but you got your mold and then you got the press and you press it flat.
Yeah.
Right? And then you put your little worm or your slug in there.
And then boop, and you're off to the races.
Exactly.
We got to get some molds at the Hash Week warehouse party. So one thing we're doing year over year that's different is when you go to like Beer Week, they do have one big central event. Like they might have nights at these breweries, all 7 nights, but they took over like the Salesforce Park this year and had a bunch of brewery tents and music, and people just kind of like to have one big thing. There's like a group psychology of getting together and seeing who's there and seeing other people. And so for us, that we're doing a warehouse party at the Terpnami space, 888 Marin Street in San Francisco in the Dog Patch. And that's going to have the glass, the genetics, the merch, the clothing. And we got to get some molds in there now. Like definitely we're going to have tips.
The molds for sure. So yeah, we'll talk about it after the show. I got some good ideas. You know, they're 3D printed. So
okay, perfect.
Yeah, we're working on our own custom one. It's a little bit different. I got a different concept for the press that I think is really interesting. And hopefully we'll have the prototypes done to show everybody at Hash Week. That's my goal, is to show you first before we show the whole world at Hash Week.
There we go.
So, because I want people to enjoy what I get to enjoy, like I get to enjoy it. I think there's value in that. Like, I think to be able to experience stuff like the people who get to experience it the best, I think when you can pass that on to your customers or your friends, I'm all about sharing experience like that.
Yeah, we'll got to get some Hashhole rolling classes going, or some videos online or something.
I got the guys. That'll do it. Probably even do it for you let them have a booth or set up something, or even set up an area where they can do. Because Bruno Rolls did that at Kushstock.
Okay.
He had a table set up.
Where was Kushstock again this year?
That was at the Beehive in South Central Los Angeles.
Okay.
It was really cool, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
awesome.
So they've had 2 events that I've been to down there. There was the Kushstock, and then before that was Olympics.
That's great.
Those were old school style events. Like that was what made me smile the most this year, was walking around the Olympics going, dude, this is like 2010 California. Everyone's excited. There was trapping going on, obviously, whatever. I wasn't as excited about that, as the vibe was so good and the energy was back, and it wasn't like super regulated, where a lot of these events, not your events, but some of the other events have become so regulated. You can't, there's not the free expression that there used to be. And it was a safe place. Everyone was consuming, but it was wild, like wild. A lot of booths out in full force.
Shout out Kushstock and Olympics. Yeah. And the fact that you don't have to go out to like the Santa Barbara County Fairgrounds in Victorville or Adelanto. You used to have to go out into the hinterlands to gather in SoCal for cannabis things. Remember?
Well, the old High Times Cannabis Cups weren't in LA. It wasn't in LA. It was in San Bernardino. So which is not LA, not even really close. But
what I saw recently from Moon Valley for the first time was the black hole instead of the hash hole.
Huh.
That's where the hash is the paper on the outside now, which is totally depraved. I don't know what they've been calling them for you, but
I don't know. They got
like,
some
this
weird
is
ones.
A black hole. And he handed it to me, and it's like a big cone joint. Only the paper is the extract.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
I've
that's
totally
in my
heard
fridge.
about that, where they roll the paper. Yeah, they roll the extract out and then roll the flower in it.
Yeah, and I've seen it one other place. El Rock from Platinum or Skypack.
Yeah,
showed me one or has one on hand, and that's the kind of maximalism we'll bring out for Hash Week.
So 20 years ago in Humboldt County, and you just reminded me of something that I saw 20 years ago in Humboldt County.
I believe it.
I was going up to buy some flour, and they had this joint, and it was a pure hash joint, and it had a hole all the way through it where they got it real hot and lit it, and you could smoke the hash like that, and it slowly burned.
What?
And I've never seen anything quite like it to this day. So if you watch the show and you know about this stuff, tell us in the comments how to do it. Yeah, it was like hole down the center. Yeah, it was like probably it was before bubble hash too, I think. Like really, it was probably like in the late 90s. But it was more of like the old school style hash that burns like that doesn't fully melt. Non-melt.
Yeah.
Non-bubble, non-melt, like old school hash. And they lit it up with a torch, and then we just smoked on it like that and got super baked.
I'm sure. I mean,
it was super harsh, but it was kind of cool.
This is brutal.
Yeah.
And like they must have rolled it on a stick and pulled the stick out or something.
That's exactly what they had to have done.
The way like Thai buds used to be, or the Thai stick used to be made.
Right.
That doesn't surprise me. I expect to see more of that now. These events are like reporting for me now. calling 45, 50 hash makers, brands, venues, beyond, and asking them what they have new. You see some trends that are out there. And I see the cost per unit lower than ever.
For sure.
And so the variety of products has expanded.
It's expanded. It's really interesting. In California wrecked the metric system, how it's expanded. I don't know if you're familiar with the number one product seller, like the number one seller on the market.
How do you define number one? Like by volume
most volume, most profitable. What are they selling the most of? Is $1 to $5 joints.
Okay, like a super cheap pre-roll.
Super cheap pre-rolls.
I could see that because like you have the Fulton Fiver from Sunset Connect in San Francisco, and
exactly.
they rolled
Sunset
a million
Ali,
of those last
like,
year.
He's been on the show too. Yeah, dude, like that is the number one product seller or number one product on the market, and I think carts are just climbing too because people want convenience.
Yeah, I'm seeing so far half grammars become 1 grammars. So like the Nasha all-in-ones this year, over year.
Or 3/4. They do half grammer Dogwalkers. I guess they call them the Dogwalkers because you can smoke them while you're walking your dog. Half grammars are cool. I like smoke those
on
in
the
one
vapes
hit.
too.
On the vapes.
Like the Sluggers vape is not a 1, it's a 1.2 gram. And then I'm seeing
like
a lot of 1 grammers go to 2 gram vapes.
So I've heard this stupid trend, and in my opinion, and I have a lot of opinions on stuff.
Great, I want to hear this.
I do not like 1 grammers going to 2 grammers going to 5 grams in a pen. It's stupid.
I've never seen a 5 gram.
I've seen 2 grams, but I've never seen.
Okay,
but that's gonna happen. Watch, they're gonna be like, here's 5 grams in a cart, and like it's a super bargain deal because we've got this shit slit, and the thing is I just made that word up too. Shit slit. Dude, that's a good one.
Dude, trademark that one.
I'm gonna sell that one to Midzotics. He can sell the shit slit.
Or Clout King can have some shit still it.
Yeah, exactly. But my big problem
with the 2 grammer
is I prefer a half gram because I smoke rosin carts. And my experience with the carts, I'm using the O2 vapes right now. I really like that hardware. But my problem is that going into it, if you're a real smoker and you smoke on rosin, after a half gram, if you're smoking a 1 grammer, it starts getting not as good. It's not as good. That second half is definitely not as good. I'm not even as excited. I'd almost have a 0.3 if I was thinking, what's the optimal amount? Probably a 0.3 so you can keep it fresh. And we're talking about, if you're a regular smoker, if you're someone who doesn't care about the flavor or you just want the effect, sure, whatever. But I feel like if you're a flavor chaser, you're chasing that flavor, those terps, the effect associated with the terps and the way it makes you feel happy because you get to taste amazing terps. That 0.3 to 0.5 is optimal.
Yeah, right? Probably enough. If you're trying to get the soul of the flower and extract solventless form,
it doesn't taste as good. Stable. The 0.6 doesn't taste as good. The 0.7 tastes worse. The 0.8, by the time so for me, half gram or less.
Now, outside of the cart, we're seeing 1 gram gram jars go to 2 gram buckets.
Yeah.
And people start to hit some type of weight limit or THC cap, like the bucket. We're in a bucket era, it seems like. Yeah. And the buckets are butting up against the state, limit for how much you can have in one.
Sure.
We're seeing 1,000 milligram tincture drinks get blown out, the St. Ides ones.
Yeah.
And they're really affordable. I see them as the alternative to lean, where you could just do a styrofoam cup, crushed ice, 1,000 milligrams of the St. Ides, Sprite, And
some people love that stuff, but
they do, and they want to put on some chopped and screwed.
And I'm not gonna hate on
3-6 Mafia.
I love joking around about it. I'm not. If that's your thing, that's your thing. There's nothing wrong with finding your lane and staying in your lane and loving that, and that's okay. There's people that love terped weed, right? And I'm not a terp guy.
Yeah. Same.
I think I want the flower to speak for itself. I want the expression to speak for itself. And at the top level, you look at even the best growers. Batch to batch, it's different. For the best.
It's crazy. It's live. It's a live plant.
It's a live plant. And each batch, even though it can be grown in the same exact environment, from harvest to harvest, there's slight differences that can make it better or worse. It might be like a 9.8 out of 10. It might be a 10 this time. It might be a 9.7. Some of these, I'm talking about the best of the best. And it's not always that perfect 10. That's more rare.
One thing I don't feel gets hit on hard enough is even though prices can in the rec market can total 30% taxes all in.
Yeah.
When you add the layers,
right?
The compression going on the cost of goods side is making things competitive. So over at Oak Fruitland in San Francisco, People are weight limiting out on $80 ounces of Super Boost smalls. And the GM for the first time in his career is like, I'd love to sell you more of this, but you need to come back tomorrow. Yeah. And I think the end game, and it ties into Hash Week, is like, I don't think the taxes are going to go down per se.
Right. Well,
I just think they're going to get
July.
the COGS down to be competitive with the street, especially on like purity, potency, provenance, like where it came from, access.
Well, there's some shitty stuff that we're not talking a lot about, is like the retail price has not changed that much for the top shelf eighth, right? It's still $50, right? But that same pound that used to be a lot more for the cultivator is now a lot less. And I think we need to talk about that more. The cultivators should be getting more, but they also should be growing better flowers so they can compete. But unfortunately, we have a surplus of product, and so that's killing us. And so my solution is interstate commerce.
Yeah. It seems like the law is upstream of the macroeconomics, and that's upstream of the lived reality of us as consumers.
Right.
And so that means, back to the law, half the market's illicit here in California. And then that doesn't even capture all the exporting that's already going on. Like interstate is here.
Right. It's already happening. They just need to regulate it and make the money off it. And, I mean, there's some things I believe in oversight for testing. I think that's extremely important, but I really think that we need to look at interstate commerce for California. As a Californian, I think some people are like, no, each state should grow it themselves and make it. That should be an option for those states. But like, there's states that maybe they do want to grow, but are they going to be able to grow what we grow? I don't know.
No, yeah, we'll have our expertise, I think, one way or the other, although Michigan's killing it.
Michigan's killing it. Massachusetts is killing it.
Yeah.
Florida's killing it in their own way. But I would love to be able to buy flower from St. Vincent and buy some of these equatorial varieties and some of these sativa plants, be able to get the flower and support these small communities out there of people that are passionate about it in the Caribbean or wherever, in Colombia, right? And to be able to get those products here, I think that would be great.
That's like, to me, about buying story as well.
Right.
And so Kiva at Lost Farm at Hash Week is releasing their single source land race edibles. And it's an open question as to like whether or not strain specific edibles might be effect specific. And maybe you can speak to this, but then but it's certainly sexy, and it's something they just want to do it, to like go out and get some cool land races as a single source.
Yeah.
And extract those and put them into edibles.
I love it. I love that concept. This is the first time I heard about it, and cool. I love it because the thing is for people that are into edibles, they do have different effects. Depending on the cultivar, it's not, unless you're just using distillate, then you're obviously going to have the same effect. But if we're talking about a full spectrum product, from one product to the next, you're going to get a different effect.
Cool.
So I mean, I've had like edibles where I had psychedelic experiences.
Yeah.
We drank this Bang. It's called Bang, and it's like a milk product. I remember I was going to a rave. And this was 1997, and we were going to Freedom. And on the way there, I drank this Bang, which was like this milk drink where it was like the milk fat.
Yeah.
And it was a psychedelic experience. There was no psychedelics other than cannabis. And so people that say it's not psychedelic, I've had a psychedelic experience that I remember very vividly. And, as far as what I've experienced with psychedelics with other things, it's comparable to that and way more psychedelic than some of the mushroom trips that I've had. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I've seen it too. And I can't wait to try these new Lost Farm solventless single source land race. Like, I think they're going to have 4 different land races that they went back and, got off the farm.
California land race. It's going to be Skittles, Girl Scout cookies, OG Kush.
Yeah, right. I saw this week that Sin City put out the original Sin Mint like seeds again.
That's super sweet. I'm glad.
Restart Cushman's if you wanted with the blue power.
But maybe you can, right? So because of genetic recombination, it's like, so the thing is with that, in my opinion, they release seeds that are the same name, but is it an F2? Is it an F3? Is it the exact same parents? I don't know. I'm just talking on my ass and because I don't know them and what they just did.
Yeah.
But if you use the same parents, maybe you could release the same seeds. But if you're making an F2 or an F3 or an F4, with genetic recombination, you're getting different seeds, right?
Yeah.
You're getting different possibilities.
It to me is like a slot machine. You just pulled the handle, like you might get 3 cherries, but there's a lot of other combinations in there.
But you're not going to get the original 3 that you had before unless you have that original combination. And then You know, I mean, there's a lot to that. It's like winning the lottery with some of these cultivars. But yeah, I mean, dude, those guys have killed it over the years. I saw them come up from 2012, saw Sin City grow. It became really big, and they have some really amazing genetics. Blue Power, shout out Blue Power. That's a legend.
Slept on.
Most people don't even know about Blue Power. And there's a couple different phenos. There's like a musky one, and there's like a blueberry one, and like this amazing berry one. And then we had the musky one, and it was the strongest. So that times the loudberry, Jason Midnight Rider made that. And it's the strongest thing I've ever smoked in my life. But and I smoked it with my friends at Dab, and they were like, what the fuck? I didn't know joints were so strong. But it was because of the flower.
I first got hip to Blue Power with apples and bananas. I'm like, what is going on with the strength of this eye candy cross? And they're like, oh, Blue Power. And I saw that it had come from Sin City, makers of the Sin Mint, which, really helped Seed Junkie start the Cushman's wave. And I was like, wow. I saw today that there's a new Blue Power auto that they're signing off on.
Yep.
Like a F4 auto. And then they just re-released the Blue Power again, along with the Sin Mint. So like Sin City's having a moment. So I'm doing a weekly genetics newsletter on Substack. Right. And I see that everybody, you have to go to like 50 Instagrams and 40 web pages and subscribe to all the newsletters just to know what's going on like a weekly basis. And you can miss these drops and miss something amazing. Right. And so I wanted to have like a Politico Pro just for genetics.
Right.
And so I've launched that. One of the crazier ones I saw this week was a bacon strain, quote unquote bacon. Have you ever heard?
I've smelled bacon terps. We talk about it on my show from time to time, but I've smelled fried chicken, bacon, kung pao chicken, very specifically to
apparently like Happy Day Farms co-signs this bacon.
Yeah, and so you need to check out his Humboldt Seed Company, and I haven't smelled theirs, but they have like a beef stew cultivar that's. I think it's that Mother's Magnolia has one too, I believe. Like it's similar to those.
Doesn't Colorado have, or no, maybe it was Finest that has a gravy they had to rename?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. Yep. I also saw this week that block maker of Blockberry, aka Superboof, will sell you that clone for $600 right now.
That's not a bad deal.
No, I feel like it's clone season.
I think, our clones are live. So we're crushing it on clones. We're doing really well. I love clones. You'll be able to order new stuff until our entire library is going to be available. We have stuff that's very affordable, right? Which it's, in my opinion, very affordable for a clone, $75. We do the work. But we're also releasing some classics. We got obviously some candy, some runts, and some LCGs and stuff like that. But our library is going to slowly get released in clone form, and there will be $5,000 cuts. There will be $1,000 cuts. There will be $500 cuts. We have the most expensive right now is, I think, $750.
Okay, what's the $750 clone?
It's it's a really special one. So that one is Violet Drips, and that is black runts times grape gas. I got a bunch of grape gas crosses that we're releasing.
That sounds fire.
So I made a bunch of grape gas crosses. I really like working with grape gas. Shout out Colorado.
Yeah, I fucking love grape gas.
It's a good one. It's a good one, and I feel like it translates into rosin. Like there's some washers. There's a cut of it. Not all the cuts wash, by the way, but the one that washes really well. It's really terpy. It's you see it in contests, right? And that one is very grapey. It reminds me of Alexander the Grape Otter Pop.
Yum.
Right. And so that's how my brain works. Is
same.
Like every time I'm
just
like,
7-Eleven flavors.
7-Eleven flavors, Slurpee flavors, all these things come back to my Bazooka Joe bubblegum, right? Like it's like all these things I can think of exactly what I have a photographic memory for flavor, right?
What's the $5,000 clone going to be?
So we're talking about doing some interesting ones. I'm not going to give them all away, but yeah, we got some classics. I'm telling you right now, we got the Piff, the Cuban Black, the Chem Dog coming online. We've got some Super Silver, some Amnesia Haze. As far as classic throwbacks, we'll have Blue Dream later in the year.
Yeah.
Everything's from Tissue Culture Moms, right? So literally you're getting Gen 1 clones, super vigorous, pest and pathogen free. We're doing it the right way. We have testing done on them regularly, so we know that they're pathogen free, but they're coming out of TC. So you're getting clean stuff, which I think is super important these days. A lot of people are just selling clones that are passing around hoplite and viroid. That's a problem.
I think the highest I've seen a clone go for in person or on my research or like reporting is $1,000. Like I've seen Seed Junkie.
Well, NorCal Nemo is saying 10 Bitcoins for his Z.
His Z. And with the Bitcoin, what's that at now?
106,000.
Dang. So it's $1 million cut.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
I mean, yeah, I think people talk sometimes, and maybe obviously he would sell it for that. I would sell his cut for way less, if you want it, by the way.
Yeah. So, Rebel Grown was joking. They just got into the clone game as well. He's got $1,000 double OG Chem 5.
Yeah.
He's holding back the 15. And I think that's his one that he wants to try to get $100,000 to cut for when he drops that out.
It's an interesting. So the $100,000. I mean, we might even put something on there too, but it's not really to sell it for $100,000.
Right.
No one's going to buy it.
It's like a publicity stunt.
But our stuff that's $5,000, it's $100,000 to say you put it on. Who's going to pay $100,000 for that?
I would kill it. I would be so scared.
These expensive genetics. If you buy one, you get X, but it's only even like a $700 clone. You're going to pay $50 more for the next one. If you buy 4, you're going to pay $100 more than you would than $700 to get 4 instead of 1.
June will be ostensibly peak clone season. You don't want to put them outside before June because they can flower on you.
And that's not true.
Okay.
No. I would say right now you can start going outside. June is a great time to do it too.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're pretty good right now. So people that are watching the show, this is going to be in June. Yeah, put them out right now. Better get them out right this second if you're watching this podcast when it was aired. But May is still fine. You look at the outdoor guys, they have monster plants, right? Monster that we're growing from.
I don't even comparing myself to what they're already at in the grow season right now because it's just insane.
I mean, a lot of tomato growers, their tomatoes are already 4 feet tall, right?
Yeah.
5 feet tall. Some of the guys that have these big 12-pound plants, they'll finish at 12 pounds. They're huge already.
So put us on game. It's June. We did get a clone. I want to put it outside. I don't want to kill it.
Yeah.
How do I pot it and root it in what? If I'm just a home grower.
Because
I've already killed one this year.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Purple City Genetics gave me this fun orange Toronja cross at Weed Week.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm just going to throw it in a 1 gallon with this soil. It'll root and be fine. And then I'll up pot it and put it in the patch.
The 1 gallon,
I just totally fucked it up, man.
You probably overwatered it. I think overwater. So in veg, one of the biggest problems that I see with home growers is overwatering.
Sure.
Right. And also pH your water, guys. And then also feed it. You don't just feed it water. If it's a clone going into soil, you might be able to get away in the beginning, you might be able to get away with that. But literally you want to go that 1 gallon transplant that outdoor plants don't do well in 1 gallons unless they're Autoflowers.
No,
right?
I put them in the 30 gallon outside, but when I got the clone in April.
So you want to get those roots going, right? That's important, right? So you transplant it, use some mycorrhiza if you want. I like mycorrhiza.
Into what? Cocoa?
No. Let's go soil.
Yeah.
I mean, soil's easy. Let's
potting
go
soil?
Yeah, cocoa. I love Kaya cocoa. Don't get me wrong. Use that. Bio 365, use that. Canna cocoa, use that. You want to do cocoa? That's fine. These are all great cocos, but I think soil, just let's keep it simple. Give it something that has nutrients in it. Some of the cocos also do, but start with
can you be too hot on a clone?
You can go buy some shitty stuff from Home Depot by the big
Fox
bag.
Farm Ocean
You don't even need a pot. That's not shitty. That's
no,
good.
I like it.
It's really good. Yeah, but you can go
Is that too hot for a clone?
You can go buy the $8 or $6 a bag at Home Depot, big thing, and you can even use that bag for growing. You can just cut the top old school.
The clone there.
Yeah, the Humboldt growers used to do that, but really get that. You got to get that clone going. So you don't want to give it too much light initially. If it's coming from indoors, the second you put it outside, you have to acclimate it. So I would leave it in the shade for a couple of days. Make sure it's not getting too cold at night. If it is, bring it in, and then slowly introduce it to the sun. Right?
Yeah.
But get those roots going. Make sure those roots are going, because the second you just try to put that out there, you're going to either kill it, stunt it.
Yeah. It is a different beast than a seedling.
It is. It's a different beast, but it's not really that hard. It's actually easy. You just have to know how to do it, not be afraid of it. And then practice makes perfect, I think.
I could have read up before I did it, but I was like, man, it's a clone. I'm going to put it in some soil, put it under some lights, but it got mad. It was under 24-hour LED, and one of the limbs started re-vegging.
Yeah.
I did not study up to transplant my first clone.
Yeah, I mean, even if you start them in solo cups, a lot of guys do solo cups, right? You just get the soil,
rock wool into the
that
rock
solo cup right there. Show our audience that solo cup. Pop some holes in the bottom of it. Get some soil in there. You can start your clone in there just fine.
So the clone's in a piece of rock wool, and you'll put it in here with some
or
Fox Farm
or
Ocean
whatever.
Forest.
Sure,
and you're good to go.
Make sure you're using pH water. I would give it some
water,
food.
So not tap water.
You can do tap water, but the thing with tap water, depending on where you're at, there's chlorine in it, so you probably want to let it sit for a couple of days because it'll just the chlorine will dissipate off of it.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can just use tap water, even is fine, which has chlorine in it. But like, let it sit out in a reservoir for a day. It's a 5-gallon bucket.
All right, everybody. So rock wool into here with some Myco, some Fox Farm, some water that's been sitting out, and then the clone's been under a certain light regimen. What's the right step down here?
Well, I would say that most of the nurseries have 18.6. That's pretty standard for where it's at, right? And so moving it outdoors, we're probably at 14 hours worth of, we're in May, right? Watching this.
June.
But like June is going to be like, if they're watching this in June, you're going to have a lot more than 12 hours worth of light, which is where it starts to flower. Most things trigger. So optimally, you can put them outdoors, no problem in June. They're just going to veg out, right? They're going to veg. They're going to grow. You don't have to worry about them flowering.
No.
Unless you stress the shit out of them or fuck them up.
Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, giving them the right amount of water. You don't want to overwater them so it's just completely soaked, especially in the beginning. They're delicate, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you give them, make sure it's wet, but you're not, and you don't, obviously you don't want to get them dry either. You don't want them completely dry out, but you got to have oxygen to the roots, right? So if you it's like suffocating somebody.
Yeah. So if you can kill them in a day.
Oh yeah. Well, you can kill them in a day, but you can definitely stress them out in a day. No problem. I've seen people fuck them up from overwatering or putting them out on a hot day like today.
Okay.
They'll put them in the direct sun, and that's no good.
Like,
it's like, it'll shrivel up and die. Right?
Yeah. Cause it's just a cutting off of a mom that's been sitting under like,
that has some roots, but it's not fully established. It's not established in the pot. And so a lot of times you got to have those roots catch, and then you'll get vertical growth.
Well, we'll still be dropping clones at Hash Week. Purple City Genetics wants to bring some. And
I'm going to bring some too.
Nice.
We'll do it. Let's rock and roll. I'm excited about it.
It seems like the clone wave is here to stay under hemp law. Is that what's going on here?
It is. The clones are considered hemp. They're THCA at the most, right? Like, because that's the acid form of THC. As soon as you basically heat them up, you can convert that THC into Delta-9, but like seeds no longer fall under the source law, and neither do clones.
Okay.
Cuttings, clones.
And that's why they're flying all around the country in the mail.
Yeah, and I mean, you can legally ship them now. I mean, there's all kinds of great things, but they fall under the law where the Farm Bill, because they're compliant for hemp because they don't have enough, they're not above 0.3% Delta-9 THC.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yeah, unlike some of my like stuff I've started from seed this year, I'm growing Chaw Genetics Strawberry Cough times Lime Sour.
Sweet.
And I'm growing Happy Dreams TK times GMO.
Nice.
And I did get one clone from seed from Terpnami last year, a pack. One came through. It's a Cap Junkie times Super Boof. The like Boof Junkie or Cap Junkie. But those the terps are already there.
Yeah.
On 1 foot vegging plant.
Yeah.
Like that's wild to me. I think those might fail already. THC limit.
No. I mean, the terpenes doesn't mean it'll fail, right? Like most of those won't fail because it's still in its acidic form, right? So like it's still an acid, and there's THC, but it's not going to test positive, right? For Delta-9, it's not above 0.3% Delta-9 THC, which is what our government's, in the state of California, federal government's concerned with that 0.3. But and then there's high CBD. Obviously that's great too. But like I'm doing a project with Jean Carlos. We're doing, we have this little collab that we're doing with some friends. It's still top secret, but we're doing Jean Carlos shells and CBD. It's going to be really special.
Huh. It's a little CBD action, huh?
Yeah. We're going to have some sun-grown
Someone
CBD
always tries to bring CBD dabs to Hash Week.
There's nothing wrong with that. I think CBD dabs is a great way if you've been smoking too many dabs to like either take you down a notch, or somebody that's not really into dabbing that wants to experience dabbing. Sure, that's great for them.
Yeah. I grew the TK GMO because I needed an indica to balance out the lime sour, the cough lime from Chaw. But Happy Dreams is really juiced about it because it's his strongest hasher.
Oh, wow.
It's a 6% yielder.
Yeah, washes at 6%. And
I'm only growing it for flower. I don't care, but I do see more people at home, like home growers, six plant gardeners, doing their own home grow for hash.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, and like squishing on their own, and
I mean, they have rosin presses. I love the rosin. I love the way the direction is gone with all this stuff. It's like, and then home growers getting into it, getting washers so they can make their own hash. Well, it's the thing is hash lasts a lot longer and stays fresher than flower. Flower has a shorter shelf life. You can take that rosin, keep it in your freezer. It's good for a lot longer.
And some people are in climates that are more conducive to making hash than flower.
Right.
My buddy's in the high desert. Mm-hmm. It's cold and dry in the winter.
Yeah.
And brutally hot and dry in the summer. Like it's a miserable place to try to harvest flower and dry it safely, but it's a great place to make hash. And so he doesn't even try to home grow flower out in the desert. He just grows and fresh freezes at home now.
Yeah.
And like washes at home and presses at home and then just dabbing it. Like I think I see that taking off.
It's fully legal. Why not? Why wouldn't you grow plants at home? Grow your 6. Everybody should grow their 6.
Yeah.
That should be unspoken. Like you're just getting, now that it's legal in California, grow your 6. Everybody should grow their 6 in their backyards, in their closets, whatever it is. Like it's legal. It's your legal right. It's your legal, in my opinion, it's your legal obligation, right? To support other, support the law.
Happy Dreams Dan says, just plant them, just keep planting.
Yeah.
Like you never know. He talked about planting some femmes in a bigger pot and overwatering and leaving the country. And like someone was watching the house, but he came back to like usable, beautiful flower, and so it doesn't matter what time of the year. He's just keep putting out seeds, don't stop.
That's funny. Yeah. We live in an interesting time. I mean, we've come so far in so many ways. We still have a long ways to go in others.
I guess you can still be popping seeds right now.
Some people do.
Higher Heights Nate, I was judging the Mendo Cup a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And he gave me some new femmes of his sour applegrass cross. It's called Star Apple, I think. And I was like, it's a little late to be popping these. He's like, no, not with a femme. You can put it in a big pot and you don't have to worry about it duding out on you per se. Like you can invest in the soil and be okay. Would you not start seed anymore?
I would start autoflower seeds.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, photo period, like you're not going to get big photo period plants.
No. Although as a home grower, I don't want to process all that.
Yeah, I mean, well, and as you go later in the season, your plants obviously are smaller, but from seed, they don't trigger on the same, so they're going to finish later too, right?
Yes.
So like, that's one of the problems with going later with starting seeds is they'll trigger at a certain point of their height a lot of times. I mean, they're not going to like, you put them in the fall, it's not like they flower at 6 inches tall. They're still going to be bigger plants, but it's going to take 2 months, 2.5 months for them to flower all the way.
It seems like autos have validated their place in the ecosystem at this point.
Dude, they have autoflower cups. Yes, 100%.
Yeah,
I make autoflowers. I think autoflowers are great for some people for the right application. I think they're amazing. Autoflowers are great. If they're done correctly, they can be amazing. And I'll stand my autoflowers up against anybody's. I believe they're great.
Can you tell the difference between an autoflower and a regular or a femme at this point?
I can typically tell by looking at the flower and the structure, but it depends. Some of these guys that are using 20 hours of light, you almost can't tell.
On the terps or the effect? Or?
Oh, definitely not on the terps and effect. For sure, you can't tell. You can tell by looking at the flower a lot of times. If you go 12-12 the entire cycle with your autoflowers, you're going to get more of a larvae or a looser structure. It won't be as tight. But the guys that are doing 20 hours of light with their autos are getting dense buds.
Is there a pretty good chance I've smoked autoflower and not even known it?
It's totally possible.
Yeah.
Same thing with dabs, same thing with extract. I think these guys that are monocropping acres with one variety and they're extracting for cannabinoids, full monocrop, boom, we're going to get the cannabinoids, we're going to sell distillate, right?
Uh-huh.
That's a lot of that is going to go to autoflower because you get 3 harvests a year. I think there's definitely benefits to doing autoflower in that regard. You can get larger yields if you do it correctly. And then being able to go multiple harvests is done 65, 70 days. Boom, 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 back to back. You got guys, as they're harvesting in one row, they're planting right behind them. So they're not losing any time. That stuff is really cool.
I learned the new term for the first time last week, semi-autos. I had never heard of a semi-auto until I saw Ed and Purple Caper, Ed Rosenthal, had just released a batch of semi-autos on Neptune or whatever.
Yeah. Purple Caper, he's a character. But that's a whole nother subject.
Yeah, but no.
Art is a character.
Or Frank.
Well, depending on which day, it's either Art or Frank. Yeah.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
But it sounds like semi-autos are just longer autos.
Well, no. So semi-auto means that it's half auto typically. Like it's an autoflower crossed with the photo period. They call them quicks. They call them semi-autos. They call them fast finishers.
So it still needs the photo period.
So it doesn't have
trigger.
Both genes to make it fully express autoflower. Because when you create an F1, you need both of the parents to pass on that gene for it to express as an autoflower.
Okay.
So a semi-auto would be one that has an autoflower parent, but the other side is a photo period. And what that does is it creates a faster trigger and a faster finishing plant. So you can get a faster version of whatever you're crossing it to if you're using an auto.
Sounds cool, man.
It sounds really cool. There's a lot less stability for the most part. I've only seen a handful of good ones over the years. There's a lot of people that try to claim them. They're like, oh, I got this or I got that.
Mm-hmm.
Proof is in the pudding, man. Just because you sold seeds of it doesn't mean shit to me. Like, show me the finished flower. Let's talk about the stability of it. Let me see the phenotypical variation. Are you really working with two stable parents creating something that you get an even expression of it? Or is there 35 different phenotypes that you're going through when you plant an acre?
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of this stuff is going to be the talk of the town in Mary Jane Berlin in June.
I can't wait. You're going to be there?
Next year.
Oh, I did that last year. I missed it. I'm going this year.
Yeah. 50,000 people out there or something.
I just heard that they're expecting at least 60,000.
Mm-hmm. I wrote a hash book with Ed in 2014, Beyond Buds.
Right.
That's 11 years ago. And it
blows
crazy.
My mind that it's been so long because I remember when that first came out. I don't know if you remember the book release party. I'm the one that cooked the food.
Yeah. So holy shit.
I did the salmon.
And there was like a bus or like, there was like a cool, funky Berkeley spot.
Yeah. So that was at Cloud9 in Berkeley.
Right. My wife got way too high on dabs at that party.
That was a
her
great
last
party.
dab.
Yeah. Clay, the guy who owned it, his name is Clay. He owned Cloud9 and he used to renovate school buses and city buses and turn them into Burning Man buses.
Yes.
And amazing buses.
We got super dabbed out in one of those trippy buses.
What an adventure. So long,
I mean, like
11 years.
We did like to think how far extracts has come in 11 years is spooky.
Right.
There was rarely little fresh frozen commercially there. Mm-hmm. And now like half the crop I'm hearing is frozen instead of dried.
Oh yeah. I mean, a lot of guys that are doing indoor are pulling all the tops for flower.
Okay.
Like just even indoor guys are going tops for flower. We're going to wash the bottom.
We did the marijuana harvest book in 2017 with Ed, and we're working on an update right now, or a pitch for an update. And the most shocking omission is like, there's nothing about fresh frozen in there yet. You were saying you've been freezing since the 90s, but
literally we were freezing the stuff. We used to use 5-gallon buckets, and we even before bubble bags, we used to freeze the material and stir it with a wooden spoon.
Yeah.
Like literally make amazing hash with it. But yeah, we've been freezing it forever. You guys didn't even mention that side of it, but that gives you opportunity for the next generation.
Yeah. I mean, Grove has fresh frozen bags that they recommend you use now. They're also bringing out their Safe Vac bag that's for transporters where like the flower cures better on the road.
I love Grove. Those guys are great. We're both big Grove fans. We both have our own custom Grove bags. Shout out Grove.
Shout out Grove.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think like hash is such a great barometer for innovation.
Right.
And to me, it's not plateauing at all. I see a time, I feel like right now, I've said it for a couple of years, but because of the economics of it and the cost going down and the size is going up, I think we're seeing washers that are like the size of Volkswagen Beetles.
Oh yeah.
Right. Or Bugs. Right. Mm-hmm. And then the freezers are walk-in.
It blows my mind. Have you ever been to Artemis Copacking, Autumn's place up in Lake County?
I was just at Fire King in San Francisco.
Nice.
And the washer's taller than me.
Yeah. So Autumn's is 15 feet tall and they do 200 kilo batches.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Artemis Copacking. They're doing some amazing stuff up there, but like literally they have multiple washers. Yeah. And then everyone has freezers. They're using RO water, that's refrigerated RO water. That's like they have huge friggin' water
chillers.
Well, yeah, it blows my mind. Some of the
everyone's got to wear a parka in there. It's like a room of like Willy Wonka's factory now. I couldn't work in there day in and day out. It would be too cold.
It's not for everybody. Bird's doing a good job over there. That's where Bird Extract's at now.
Yeah.
So yeah, but and then I mean, just the equipment. It's changed so much. Rosin first started with the friggin' hair
hair press. Yeah. Oh my God.
It's wild. We came from that, and now look at what we're doing. You know,
I remember the first time I saw a cart. Maybe you can say afterwards was at the Green Door on Soma, which is open again. And they had the flower in the like bulletproof check teller. But then if you walk down the hall, they'd have like this one little table with and like alcove with carts in there.
Yep.
And I was so leery at the time. Like, what is a cart? What is the goo in the cart? There's no way you're going to catch me, you know, experimenting on myself.
It was so bad. The stuff people made back then. I mean, there was some people doing it right, but like the carts were so bad. They had wicks in them. Mm-hmm. Like the Gen 1 carts were like $100 each, dude. Like there's so much money made from those Gen 1 carts being sold like from China, getting cases of them and then selling them, breaking them down and selling them. People were making millions of dollars off of selling carts back then. And the carts they were vapor, they were pens, you know, so they were the big tubes and they had the button on them and they had like, that you would fill them up.
Actuated.
Oh yeah. And you know, people were mixing glycerin in with their friggin' extract. It was gross.
Do you remember the first time you saw a cart? For me, it must have been like 2014 or 20.
I would say 2011 was the first time I saw a cart. And yeah, these guys were buying cases. We were buying cases. I was buying cases from these guys who were buying even more cases.
And like now it's what, 12, 13, 14% of the overall mix.
Oh yeah.
In the market. Like half is flower, half is extracts. Half of the extracts is like edibles and stuff, and the other half is a mix of carts and dabs.
Right. State to state is so different too. Like every state has a little bit different of a mix. Colorado's big into edibles.
And then everyone's fearlessly gone all in one or disposable or ready to use.
I like the disposables now, though. You don't have to refill them. I like like I said, the O2s are great. The iCrush are cool. They're okay. But I really like that O2 hardware. They're the most expensive, though. It's crazy how much that one piece of hardware costs.
Yeah. Like
$4. So if you're only buying 100 of them, it's $4.25. That's their regular retail price or wholesale price on 100. And then even at 1,000, I believe it's like $4.09 per disposable.
Wow. And we're not supposed to throw those away.
No, you do throw those.
Not in the landfill though, right?
You're not supposed to put those in the landfill. There's a battery in there.
Yeah. That's like e-waste, right?
That's e-waste. Yeah, that is that needs to go in e-waste. For those of you that don't know, do not be throwing your carts.
Well, they're trying to ban them in California.
They try to ban everything in California. I know. Foie gras, man. Come on, guys.
They tried to ban fruit and faces on packaging last year or 2 years ago.
I mean, I kind of get like the animals and appealing to kids and not making it cartoonish. I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's what they want to ban everything in California.
Earl Hill is dropping their all-in-ones at Hash Week, and they're proud of how they grow it. So that we've seen a lot more single source as a trend in that solventless, in a vape. Yeah. And then they tout how in their all-in-one, you know, there's no wick, there's no ceramic. They're using this cone tech. They're just really happy with the voltage and the viscosity, the overall package. They're saying like that's going to be better than Frankensteining a battery,
totally,
or off the shelf other stuff. I see a lot of people making those kind of claims where they're like, our all-in-one is optimized. I think there's something to it. Soulful is launching their own all-in-one with Harry Rose, I believe. Like it's an in-house one. They're really proud of it.
Nice.
That'd be like one of the more trends to like highlight is like so much vertical integration. You know, people are
Connected, guys like Connected. Yeah, they're doing all vertical integration.
Yeah, they're like capturing the margin that would have otherwise made it unprofitable to lose by selling what they grow or squishing and vaping what they grow. Or
I mean, I think you have to at a certain point when you're scaling, you have to start doing a vertically integrated model to where you're distributing your own product if possible. You're rolling your own joints if possible. You're making your own Hashholes if possible. Rosin is made in-house if possible, because you want to capture as much of that profit as you can so you have profit, because the margins right? Because there's not a lot of profit these days. It's like, but that's why I'm not in that lane. I'm not in the cultivation lane. I'm in the genetics lane. So I get to work with cultivation partners like SF Canna, and these guys, they kill it. They
crush.
Yeah, they're doing really good. And to be able to work with guys on that level, I appreciate what they can do. I feel like I can bring a lot to the table, and it's a good synergistic relationship where I can be the breeder and I'm not trying to step on the toes of the cultivator. I just want to be the Velcro, right? So yeah, I want to lift these guys, and I love being a genetics guy. We can work with everybody in some regards, but like really dialing in the products with SF Canna and like really being part of the R&D on that end. I love that. And they have guys that QC like none other. Freddie Big, shout out. We got lots of shout outs on the show, but Freddie Big is one of the top curators. Yeah. I mean, it's great to celebrate. That's what the festival
is, it's like we're shouting at, like the whole thing is an interactive community shout out.
Right.
And putting on what we're so proud of around here. And saying it's undeniable. It speaks for itself. Just come see it. We dare you to say like, oh, we have it better wherever you are.
Yeah.
And you really can't. So I think that's the point. I mean, for the longest time as a writer, I was shouting out my favorites in print or on a blog post. And your job as the audience was to just go try to find it.
Right.
And that was like, what are the odds, right? The way the market's so fractured between stores and brands and SKUs, like good luck. It was more like
totally
voyeurism, like, oh, that Collier product seems cool. I hope I encounter that one day.
Right.
So this is a chance to be like, this is cool. And they're here at this place and time. Please come down, try this thing together. We're living post-stigma. We should be able to consume this together the way you consume wine with a winemaker or beer with a brewer.
Totally. So let's dive into some of your favorite brands out there, because I know you have some particular ones that you love.
Yeah.
That you love to shout out, and for those of you who don't know, David works with Leafly.
Yeah.
You're going to write, among many other things, you write with Leafly as well.
Yeah. I was at Leafly for 7 years and I've since gone independent from them.
Okay.
We're at a amicable separation, so to speak.
Nice.
And it's because I wanted to level up, tell more stories and more formats for more people and do these events.
Yeah.
And to me, it's like day one still in cannabis in terms of the problems people have, the solutions that are like waiting to be invented. I mean, Hash Week, for example, the second you said it's like beer week or restaurant week for hash, people will go, I get that.
If you're in the Bay Area, you get it.
Yeah. You're like, oh yeah, that I totally get that. That doesn't exist yet. Right. The next one we're doing is a digital check-in app on your phone. It's a walking tour of San Francisco, but it's called the Shroom Loop.
Oh, wow.
And it's a psychedelic walking tour of the city.
I didn't even know what it was, but count me in. That sounds like a lot of fun. Yep.
Yeah. Like instead of like people talking about a doom loop, with the city, like mushrooms is going crazy. Like psychedelics and nootropics. I love
being on the sidelines and being a bystander, seeing it. It's like, okay, these guys are having fun with it. They're doing it, and it's getting packaging. Like, I mean,
yeah.
I'm a consumer, and I love it from the consumer side. It's beautiful.
Prop 215 era for shrooms right now.
Right.
Like, there's so many great psychedelic spots in the city. Like Jefferson Airplane's house, or Jerry Garcia Amphitheater, or some of the smart shops we have. And you can do like a microdose loop around the city. You can do a macrodose loop around the city. Many of us have on our own time, like taken psychedelics and like walked around the city.
Oh yeah. Barefoot sometimes.
Yeah. That's just an example of doing the thing that needs to be made next. And so that's what I wanted to do post Leafly, like take everything I'd learned there for the last 7 years and 15 years on the beat and just take it up a notch, whether it's the reporter's notebook bag, whether it is the Mylar art show we did, whether it is the Weed Week or the Hash Week or Terpnami. For a Hash Week, the top of my list did include Collier. I start with people that were winning a lot of awards. And my thesis is that our hash makers are rock stars and they have built-in audiences, just like an indie band does at Bottom of the Hill in San Francisco. In fact, you could probably get more people out for a 710 Labs party than like a smaller indie band. And we've seen it time and time again. People will RSVP 400, 500, 600 people will RSVP for these drop parties. 60, 80, 100 will show up, buy a bunch of product, and then go get dabbed out by their favorite brand, such that they don't have to actually consume any of the product they purchase. The brand's like, don't worry, we got you on this one. Thanks for coming down. You combine that with some good local food, which I need help with from you.
Right.
Some local music, turn out your best local art. And you have something that's just really singular. Like we still can't do this in Seattle. We still can't do this in Portland. We still really can't do this in LA. You can do it a little bit in West LA with the lounges over there.
Right.
But you certainly can't do it any other place outside of like Cannabis, really. And I was really inspired by my time in Cannabis to get together my favorites and encourage really everybody to do what they wanted to do within the framework. Like I just want to be the mascot in the bee costume at the bottom of the bleachers being like, okay, we're going to do the wave. Like 1, 2, 3, put your hands up and like kind of run down the way and get people started. Yeah. Because when people see the wave coming, like who's going to not do the wave? All you have to do is just stand up and the wave goes around and you see the wave go around. You're like,
there's always that one guy.
Cool. Yeah.
There's always that
that's
one guy.
Fine.
But there's always
but then when it comes around, maybe he does it on the second one.
Right.
The point is like, everyone was just waiting for a catalyst.
100%.
And this was like an opportunity to be a catalyst, a way I could give back to the Bay Area that's nurtured me all these years in a way that plays to my strength, which is like communications, organization, storytelling. So Kalia is doing a hash tour all around 7-10, all around California in 7-10. They will be at the warehouse party on July 11th. 710 Labs is based over in Oakland, huge audience. They'll be
good fire, huge audience, crushing it. Yeah. Love it. Yep.
Vertically integrated, growing what they're extracting. They will have some select Hash Week SKUs at 2 stores. Nasha has gone reverse vertical and they sell flowers now.
Yep. And
they'll be coming down with both. Earl Hill has their all-in-ones. We're bringing aboard Trilogy 710, which is so fascinating. They don't even give retailers a menu of their wholesale. They're just like, it's coming out. You're going to have it or what?
Exactly.
And like the retailers are like, whatever, sure. Like whatever.
It's the Supreme model. It's the Supreme model. Love that.
Yeah. It's like as a chef, it's like omakase. Right. It's like, trust me, I got this. I'm not going to put out something you don't like.
You're paying a big number for something that's special, right? But it turns into an experience. That's part of the experience, is not knowing, but wanting it.
The surprise, the tension,
the buildup. It's not necessarily false limited like Supreme, because they could make more of the shit, but they don't. They do this limited drops, right? And I feel like that gets people hyped up, and they're willing to pay more money. And if they released an unlimited amount of it, it wouldn't have that same excitement behind it.
Yeah, Huckleberry Hill will be coming down with Ridgeline and iPoppy.
Of course, that's the combo right there.
Yeah, they're working the Lance and the Whitethorn Rose extract and flower.
Nice.
Really excited. Fire King out in San Francisco is going to do a pressed hash and a live rosin drop, and they're combining it with Mission Bowling. So we'll be able to bowl at Mission Bowl on the Saturday. They love games, and they want to do more than just sesh. They want to interact and compete and eat and drink. So you buy your gram at 2 of the participating retailers and pay for the bowling too, and then show up at the bowling on the day. And if you're on the list, you get to put on some rented shoes and then go roll with Mission Bowl.
Nice.
We love like drawing the circle really big around the city, bringing in everything that people have fun with. Harry Rose and Soulful, Jetty's got new stuff. Even Raw Garden's got their new all-in-one sprouts.
Love Jetty. Yep, we've had Nate on the show. He's a friend.
And then I was stoked to see Gold Drop is still kicking. Wow. When you think of the old days, 11 years ago, that was one of the names to beat back then.
Right.
And they're here today. They're multi-state. They are fully flowing that distillate to like all the people who want it, and the kind of liquid diamonds and that whole world. And then lastly, shout out Taryn at Oakland Extracts.
Yeah, we love Taryn. We love Taryn here on the show.
He'll be here. He'll be helping to close the event.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
They do a great job over at Oakland Extracts. Another big shout out, because we love all our friends.
Yeah. We got Moon Valley in the mix too. Another one that grows and will make some rosin.
Right.
I last year I came out of Hash Week with like way more jars than I could ever
go
through. And then I gave them all out, and I expect like this will be another year of just like, wow, you know. I brought some honey banana from Earl Hill right now. That
love it.
Just mind blowing. Strain wise, I'm sure we'll see more of that, and the Tullyman, and more papayas. And
I love the bananas. I love the banana terps. But yeah, the papayas, the Starburst OG crosses, the Z's, anything leaning Z is good. There's just so many things. And then the curation of all of it with the Hashholes. That's exciting to me.
Yeah, bring in the flower.
Combining the right flower with the right rosin and having the synergistic effect where it's like, wow, that not only tastes good, but it feels amazing.
I think my favorite hash to look out for, Lucy Hash Co. is coming in. I saw some great tractor fuel from them.
Yeah.
I like that intersection of Z and OG.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you can give me like the candy sweet taffy.
As long as it's not diet Skittles, I like it.
No, I want it mega Skittles.
I want it mega Skittles or mega candy or just different. Like I want candy, it to be but like, different. I want
that OG bite, like astringence wedded to that. You know, so it's just like this electric.
I love the OG flower with the Skittles hash and the Hashholes. That is so good. That combo is great, but it's even reverse. OG rosin, the OG rosin with the Skittles flower, that's also really good.
Yum.
They go hand in hand.
What about like savory hash? I'm trying to think.
Peanut butter and ladies.
Well, is there a PB Breath hash or an OG KB hash? I'm trying to think of like.
I haven't had OG KB.
Good savory hash, like a GMO.
The tits is good. Diesel therapy. We had my good friend Skunk VA. He was on the show.
Oh, there you go.
Yes, he brought some heat. His rosin is next level. Gas, full flavor. Like I love that stuff. It's. I can smoke that stuff back to back. Keep taking small dabs of it because it tastes so good. It like reminds me of, especially some of the piney stuff. I like gas that leans to the pine. If it's just gas, it's not that exciting. But if it has a bunch of pine in it, bunch of earth, a little bit of citrus, man, that's my jam.
And then, we should point out that like it's a golden era for devices too. There's good competition. There's different form factors.
There's so many different options.
There's like whatever your world is, it seems like these brands are going head to head at each other to bend over backwards to serve that audience.
Well, and it's innovation at its finest. Like these guys are creating new stuff all the time. Each generation is a little better than the last with each company. And I think there's so many, this is a Focus V. This is their Carta Sport. I really like this. I like the way it hits. It's a super hitter. Like if you're into big hits, it'll get you. The battery life is extra long. I'm so used to them running out of batteries, and this one doesn't have that problem.
And they're like pretty like aligned with Rosin Tech, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And who's launching in the East Coast on 710 this year?
In New Jersey.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So many of our brands have like,
I love it,
gone multi-state. Yeah. So like, I hate to use the word golden age because the White House kind of stole that term. So we need to come up with a better term for what's going on in cannabis than just golden age, like platinum age or diamond age. It's like the diamond. I mean, obviously diamonds aren't like super sexy as like a form factor, but I see a great time. And in the news, it's just all taxes bad, regulations bad. The license count has gone down.
Right.
But to me, the lived experience of the stoner is like delivery, affordable.
Right.
My brother's hitting the Jetty all-in-one after he drops his daughter off at the concert and walking around downtown.
Mm-hmm.
We're rolling Hashholes in the forest, Memorial Day camping, away from the kids and stuff, or sprinkling a little in there. It's terpier, it's more potent, it's more fun, it's more diverse than I think I've technically ever seen it. And you can have everything from super old school bubble, unpressed to pressed.
Oh, old school Moroccan Charas style.
Tooties come in with
so many
that.
Different stuff. Yeah, and then we get. I mean, there's so hash
and that
is like
is
so
cheap.
Yeah,
like the bubble now. How much?
It depends. Like there's 6-star bubble.
Sure.
But like, yeah, and that's the same price as rosin or more.
But working man bubble is like there's $6 or less, gram or $10 a gram, right? Like
there's plenty of hash around. That's for sure.
Yeah. So the people who are like,
but there's moose. There's static. There's all these different things. Static is
I'm ready to see more static.
Oh, dude, there will be plenty of static at your event. I promise you. My friends are going to be bringing some amazing static. Static in metric that's going to be mind-blowing.
Oh man. But we need to work on keeping it cold, don't we?
We do. But just like the flower should be kept at a controlled temperature, all these things need to be controlled environments all the way. Packaging, we don't want the terps to escape, right? Like, so that has a lot to do with it. Degradation. We want to prevent degradation.
I want to work on the first branded cold chain, like for weed.
Dude, it's such a wow. I've been talking. It's in my book.
Yeah,
and, but if you want to, who you need to talk to is Jeremy Marshall from Lagunitas Brewery.
Yeah,
he's the one.
Yeah,
he's the one. He is the one. You want to talk about how it works? Go pick his brain.
Yeah,
he did it. Him and Tony together basically did, like, with Lagunitas, what they did, they revolutionized the beer industry.
Yeah,
right? In the same way that we need to revolutionize the cannabis industry.
Right. I know an old wine guy who said the wine that used to get to Texas would be spoiled because there was no cold chain for wine before wine took off. They had to invent it. And we are seeing jars of 6-star that are being sold, nucleated and ruined. And like the retailers are messing it up. I think Collier just released like an ice pack form factor in their jar.
Sweet.
I think I've seen a 710 Labs air conditioned like container that they have with like
all these guys going around with coolers though, like mini coolers, I walk around with a mini cooler. I never thought I would be.
Do you have one?
I have cooler bags. I have a cooler bag right here. Yeah, sure. I mean, literally to go home with when I go from work to home, just for my small amounts.
But is it a battery operated, air conditioned one?
But I'm not that fancy.
They have those,
right?
They do.
I don't need them. I just use an ice pack.
Get one.
Yeah, for sure. We need to have them at the event.
Yeah, I've seen an Instagram of like a 710 Labs one.
Right.
But I'm here for that because again, I think it is day one. I think it's a call to arms. If you got a good idea, a problem that hasn't been solved yet, you should do it. Right. Because the community is waiting for you to do it. And we have new problems or new horizons that are opening up daily. Mm-hmm. And instead of like dwelling on what used to work and doesn't, you can spend that energy tapping into the next thing we all didn't even know we wanted.
Right.
And it's made me incredibly optimistic. If I can look at the camera and tell people like, this is a call to arms, get off your butt, RSVP to these events, come out, build this community, build the next great thing that people want to enjoy, help us paint this tapestry together because the picture looks great when we all contribute.
Totally. So if people are looking to find more about your events or you, where's the best place to go?
Well, this community is on Instagram. Yeah. And so you can always find me on Instagram at David Downs.
Until they get suspended.
Yeah.
It's been a rough week for people.
It has.
I've been getting flagged up this week too. It's crazy. And I have 5 friends that have gotten suspended this week.
Yeah. I put like an item in the genetics newsletter, like Instagram refugees on X this week includes like Lorenzo from Terps Army. And you just see more and more of them filtering off that app because of that. We also have the handle at SF Spacewalk on Instagram. I'm at David R. Downs on X. But, you can just Google SF Hash Week or SF Weed Week or Spacewalk or Terpnami, and it's going to take you to our main page, and you'll be able to read the festival guide and RSVP for events. You can expect us to hit you with a pre-order. It's just like sneakers now. You can pre-order a cool hype drop and get in line for a moment. I want to see lines out the door, packed lounges, tourists walking by being like, what is this? Right. I remember the cookies drop for apples and bananas and there's a line down Haight Street. Crazy. And German tourists being like, what is this? And stoners being like, we're fucking waiting for weed, man. And they're like, weed? Like, I think our products, our brands are supreme for our audience. And so we're going to turn the love up for them.
Dude, it's exciting. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I look forward to seeing you in a couple weeks.
Yes.
At your event and then having you on the podcast for a 3rd time in the near future.
I'm going to keep it going. We'll have new stories for you and like, hey, let's roll that hash hole now.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, James.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe down below.